Well, welcome. My name's Councillor Matt Lamb and I am the Mayor of Worcester, and welcome everyone to this extraordinary council meeting. This is a public meeting and members of the public and press are permitted to report on the proceedings. Reporting includes filming, photography, making audio recording and providing commentary on proceedings. Please note this meeting is recorded and streamed live. These recordings are published on the relevant meeting page of the Council's website. By choosing to attend this public meeting, you are deemed to have given your consent to being filmed or recorded and for any footage to be broadcast or published. If the alarm sounds, the premises must be evacuated immediately. Do not spend time collecting personal belongings. All emergency escape routes are clearly signed. Once you've left the building, the assembly point is in the High Street opposite the Guildhall. Members and other speakers are reminded to use their microphone when speaking. Can I also please remind members who are sharing a microphone to hold their name card over the left side speaker on their shared microphone unit so that they are signed in before they speak. You will also need to do this each time before speaking. There is also an instruction note on your table. And a named vote will be taken for the single item on the agenda. So could you please raise your yellow card in front of you and table when you vote. This will make the counting of votes clearer. Okay. So item 1, apologies for absence. Do we have any apologies?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. We have received apologies from councillors Alcott, Cookson, Cross, Murray, Norfolk, Riaz, Round, Sobchik and Wilmore.
Thank you very much, thank you. And item 2, do we have any declarations of interest? No, I don't see any. Okay, thank you very much. Item 3, public participation. No members of the public have registered to speak. And so we move on to item 4, which is the council tax resolution. And what we're being asked to decide is to approve or reject the recommendation that the council approves the council tax resolution 2026-27 as set out in Appendix 1. And this is going to be proposed by Councillor Denham.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor. This is one of the joys of two-tier local government, that we as the District Council are responsible for sending out the council tax bill to all our residents and to collect the council tax for the key authorities within Worcestershire. It's a pity that we've had to put on this additional meeting today and bring councillors together and officers together, but we were waiting on the county council to actually agree a budget and to decide what their council tax precept was going to be. So at 6 o'clock tomorrow night, a message went from the county council meeting to our finance officer and our committee clerks, and they have produced the paper and the information that we have before us now this evening. So the precept to be collected is on behalf of Worcestershire County Council, the Police and Crime Commissioner, Hereford and Worcester Fire and Rescue and Worcester City Council, and for those parts of the city where there's a parish council, we also collect the parish precept on their behalf. It's the nature of council services and who does what, that the largest part of the bill very much belongs to Worcestershire County Council. And of course they have been obliged to or have chosen to increase their council tax by the largest percentage. The Police and Crime Commissioner, I think there's less publicity around their council tax requirements, has increased their precept by 5.15%. Hereford and Worcester Fire and Rescue have increased theirs by 4.89%. And we agreed as a council on Tuesday, after a very harmonious debate, a discussion, an agreement on our priorities for the budget. So our council tax is increasing by 2.99%. I think it's important to say that the council tax that we receive is going up to £226.01 per year. That is 2.99%. Percentages are always quoted, but no, a percentage of what is actually the key thing in terms of what your bill is and how much money people have to find. Our council tax for the Worcester City Council services is going up by less than £7, £6.56p a year, which I think is a bargain for all that we do for the city. So I move the formal recommendation and finish at that point. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I understand this will be seconded by Councillor Mace.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm not going to say that I'm happy to second this because it contains a substantial increase in the precept from the County Council of 8.98%, or £145.09 for a Band D property, which is approximately 2/3 of the entire cost of Worcester City Council to our residents. Do I feel like that the residents are going to get 2/3 extra service compared of the City Council from the County Council? No, I don't. Now, the cost of living crisis remains a huge problem for many of our residents, and there will be many people who will struggle with this increase. We will continue as a council, I'm sure, to do what we've done before and give support to people who need it. Now, while I was working yesterday, I had the County Council meeting on in the background. And I noticed a pattern. The Liberal Democrats proposed an amendment and Reform supported it. Then the Liberal Democrats proposed an amendment and Reform supported it. Then the Liberal Democrats proposed an amendment and Reform supported it, even though the Cabinet member the amendment affected didn't support it. On and on this went for hours. Liberal Democrat amendment proposed, amendment passed with Reform support. This seemed very strange, as I distinctly remember Councillor Alcott saying on Tuesday that she wasn't going to support the budget. Why would a group who aren't going to support a budget spend all day proposing amendments to that budget if they're not going to support it? Then it came to the final debate on the amended budget, at which point the Liberal Democrats announced they weren't going to support the budget. They'd spent all day amending and walked out. So I wonder, was it a Liberal Democrat Reform budget? It would be very strange for Reform to support all Liberal Democrat amendments, even the one the Cabinet member disagreed with, if they didn't have any understanding that the budget would pass. Cognitive dissonance is the mental discomfort of holding two opposing ideas in your head. I propose a similar idea, Liberal Democrat dissonance, working with Reform to pass a budget with your priorities in it without voting for it, so that you can claim you didn't support a budget that puts up council tax by 8.98%. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have any other speakers? Councillor Jagger.
Thank you very much. I wanted to say that I'm pleased with the balanced budget that this council is supporting, and I didn't think I would have to speak on the county council budget, but obviously I have to respond to some of the accusations that have been levied to the Liberal Democrats. Now, the hardest thing about being a Liberal Democrat is how quickly we become everyone's sponge bag. It's a bit like being a caretaker at a party full of drunk teenagers and getting the blame for cleaning the toilets. And when sensible people find themselves trapped in a world of alternative facts, where the right lie and pretend tax rises are not necessary for years, and then quit the Conservatives, and then pretend to be somebody else by joining Reform UK, and then the left does nothing but point fingers or scurry away in silence, the only sensible thing any reasonable person can do is take every possible step to protect residents. Also, to ask those in power to take responsibility and then leave the room. Why should Liberal Democrats take the blame for this mess when we are not in power in the county council? We, as always, have just been left holding the loo brush. The situation with this budget is absurd. The Conservatives were trying to force a potentially unlawful budget, pushing a 4.99% council tax increase that would not have been properly balanced. That risked government intervention. Commissioners would have been called in, and we would have been lacked places in Birmingham. Services slashed, libraries closed, people not receiving the care they need, school transport for sent children cut, and some of our most vulnerable children not even having a school to go to. The career politicians, or the ambitious politicians in this situation, would take the easy political choice. Let Reform UK's budget fail, or let the Conservatives succeed, all of which would have caused chaos for residents. Then pointing fingers can try and get some votes. But Liberal Democrats are not career politicians. We are teachers, we are parents, we are sons and daughters. I personally do not want to see my SEND students facing more stress and more delays. I do not want to see students in rural areas missing more lessons because of flooding. I don't want my husband to be worrying every time I hit another pothole and send our car back to the garage. In Claines, many elderly residents have told me they are too afraid to leave their homes because footpaths have become too dangerous for them to walk in. So the Liberal Democrats stepped in and forced Reform UK to confront reality. They secured funding to make streets safer for pedestrians, money for potholes, in areas that have been neglected for years. That was achieved by reallocating funds, not pretending taxes would not rise. That increase was coming regardless of the political theater. So if those are the political priorities of the Lib Dems, then what are the political priorities of other camps? This was not a simple choice between a 9% increase and no increase. That is just fantasy. It was a choice between deliberately causing chaos for residents or doing something about it. So they acted. They safeguarded services. And then they walked out to make a political point. That was the morally correct thing to do, not the easy political choice, not the populist choice.
Thank you. Sorry.
Yep, the Liberal Democrats do not control the county council, and we are not in the administration setting the budget. And crucially, we did not vote for an increase of 9%. As always, they engage in the process to mitigate the risk and secure practical outcomes for residents. I would be very happy for Liberal Democrats to take responsibility for council tax increases when they are actually running the council, but that decision is not mine. It belongs to the voters. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Can I just remind people, if they wish to speak, they should indicate, not mutter over each other. Okay? Councillor Amos.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'm glad I've come this evening. I thought it was going to be a waste of time, but obviously we're having another debate on the County Council's budget. I spent 8.5 hours there yesterday, and I'm not much more informed at the end of it than I was at the beginning of it, because all the shenanigans going on. But since we are clearly having a debate about the County Council, I just add my two penneth, Mr Mayor, if I may. The result, the cause rather, of the 8.98% council tax increase is very clear. It is the direct and sole consequence of mismanagement and incompetence and deceit by the last Conservative administration. The budget that the County Council is operating on at this very moment, and will be until the new financial year, is the budget passed, voted for, drawn up by the Conservatives. I opposed it at the time, and I voted against it at the time, because I said if we have a budget like that, The only consequence is the budget will be, the council will become bankrupt. And but for a £35 million loan from the Labour government, the county council would have become bankrupt because they'd used all the reserves and the spending was out of control. So it is the direct consequence of Conservative incompetence. The authors of it, of course, Geraghty and Bayliss, the former removed by the electorate, the latter, as usual, ran away before the electorate could get rid of him. Where are they now? So that is the cause of the problem. I'm not going to go into the ins and outs of what happened yesterday, because it's not quite appropriate, I didn't think, Chair, at a City Council meeting. But the Lib Dems talk about responsibility. They're not responsible because they're not in control of the council. Well, equally, Mr Mayor, I could say I'm not responsible for this council's 2.99 increase because clearly I've had no involvement in it. As you will recall, Mr Mayor, on Tuesday, I had 6 questions down. I'd done a lot of research, a lot of work, had 6 questions down, and I only got answers to 1.5 of them. So I don't feel any responsibility for this budget of this council because I had no response. I tried to engage, but clearly people didn't want my questions. They didn't want to answer the questions. I don't know whether it's because they're scared of them or because they can't understand the questions or they're just not prepared to answer them. But it did not look good, Chair, when I raised those questions on Tuesday and I got only partial answers to them. So, you know, we can go on and on about who's responsible for what. The truth of the matter is I thought we were here to pass a budget resolution, but I just wanted to put the record straight. It was quite extraordinary that understandings were given by the Lib Dems at the County Council. They did get their £21 million in amendments to be implemented in due course. And then it was quite extraordinary that they walked out. So instead of, because what they didn't want to do was to be there to abstain, which was part of the deal, quite frankly, Mr Mayor. I'm not going to come here to hide anything. That was the arrangement. They abstained. They walked away. Like too many people are walking away from these tough decisions. I stood there, voted for the tough decisions because they were the only ones. The alternative, Mr Mayor, that people need to know about is that if we did not pass a budget yesterday at the County Council, we would have been in section 114, which means the County Council is run by government bureaucrats. They take over, they do the spending, they raise council tax. Their spending would have been higher, the council tax would have been higher, so we made the difficult decision to keep them out of it, to keep the local council, county council local. We did our best, but the cause of this problem is the blasted Conservatives, their mismanagement and incompetence. We tried to deal with that mess, and I think it's therefore unfortunate for people in another place, this City Council, to start commenting on what the County Council's done. We did our best in the worst possible circumstances.
Okay. Can I just clarify, because I've sought advice from the monitoring officer about the way in which this debate has gone, but because we're not rehashing what was discussed at another elected body, but because it's relevant on the council tax being set today, that is why I'm giving some freedom of discussion. Okay, we don't want to rehash something that was discussed yesterday over which most of us have no power. So I'm going to allow it to a certain extent, okay, but we are discussing what's taking place in this chamber in particular. Okay. Councillor Kimberley.
Okay. Yeah, you use NAS. Is it? You can use my card if you want to.
I'll try this one. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't know what the problem was with one card and not the other. I hope this one hasn't been cancelled. I'm not overspent on it or something. I feel a note of calm perhaps needs to be sounded. It seems as though a blame game has erupted on the floor of this chamber, much like it seems to have done at the County Council meeting yesterday. And I think in the midst of all of that, we should get back to the facts. I think the facts are always our best friends because unlike political rhetoric, they tend to stay the same from day to day. For about 20 years, Worcestershire County Council was controlled by the Conservative Party. In that time, the budget fell into disaster, with the council taxes set by that authority being kept unsustainably low for unsustainably long. They chose to pride themselves on having the lowest council tax precept of any county in the country, but they didn't ask the hard questions about who was going to pay for it in the long term. And unfortunately for them, the bill has come due. Perhaps a stroke of luck, then, that a different party got elected and took control of the county at a convenient moment. But I think that we shouldn't forget there is only one party in Worcestershire that was foolish enough to promise tax cuts in the circumstances that we are discussing this evening. One party put leaflets through people's doors telling them that they could cut their council taxes, fix their councils, and cut massive waste from local government. After 14 years of national conservative austerity, after 20 years of keeping council taxes low, this was never going to work. Now let's park all of that, because tonight we are here to pass this vote so that we can set our council taxes and finally get those services up and running for the residents that we represent. I hope that we can move forwards with that this evening in the spirit of love, harmony and cooperation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kimberley. Any other contributions? No? Okay, I will ask Councillor Denham just to sum up.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. It's a shame that the Punch and Judy of the County Council meeting has come into this room and into this council chamber this evening. To be absolutely clear, Worcester City Council's role is to send out council tax bills. What the County Council does is obviously of interest because it is, with the nature of two-tier government, it is Worcestershire County Council that provides the services that our citizens rely on, and those services need to be adequately funded. As to whether they are fairly managed, whether they are meeting all their requirements, I'm probably one of the County Council's greatest critics, and for me actually that's one of the arguments for unitary councils and for having a North Worcestershire unitary and a South Worcestershire unitary. The vote this evening is about the figures and as to what the council tax will be for the average Band D property and being collected for the agencies that operate within the county. And that is all that we are voting for this evening. And once we have agreed a vote, then our officers can actually start sending out the bills that will be coming. For those that have signed up to online, you will get an email in due course. For those that are getting a letter via Royal Mail, at some point in the future, they will get it. So I move the motion.
Thank you very much. So we will now move to the vote, and obviously this will be a named vote. So Sian will read out your name, and then you indicate for, against, or abstain.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I shall read out the name votes in alphabetical order. Councillor Agar.
Reluctantly for.
Councillor Ali.
For.
Councillor Amos.
For.
Councillor Cochrane.
For.
Councillor Cooper.
For.
Councillor Denham. Councillor Desera.
For.
Councillor Holmes.
For.
Councillor Hussain.
For.
Councillor Jagger.
For.
Councillor Kimberley.
For.
Councillor Kinnersley.
For.
Councillor Lamb.
For.
Councillor Lawrenson.
For.
Councillor Lewing.
For.
Councillor Mace.
For.
Councillor Pingree.
For.
Councillor Rudge. For. Councillor Scott. For. Councillor Smith.
For.
Councillor Udall.
For.
That's everybody.
Okay, thank you very much. The resolution is passed and the council tax resolution is approved. Thank you very much. That closes the meeting. Have a good weekend.